Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, we are deep diving into the highest stakes story shaping the market, the hook. We're looking at the shocking, brutal cost of founder faith, from Bezos' struggle to PostHog's pivot hell. Then we dissect the escalating AI compute cost war between Nvidia and Google that is forcing strategic pivots across the entire cloud landscape. And finally, we explore how old guard software, specifically Adobe, is trying to use free AI tools as a sort of Trojan horse to overcome years of user backlash. High stakes, high energy. Let's get into it.
It really is a moment of truth for both founders and the big infrastructure players. Every major corporate move right now, it's driven by one thing, the fear of AI commoditization. We're seeing the market react to these asymmetric rewards, where a tiny, painful early investment can turn into billions. But the second order effects of these decisions are often brutal, and they shift who holds the power in the value chain.
Okay, let's unpack that high stakes conviction first. We have to start with the almost unbelievable foundational struggle of Amazon. There's a viral thread from at Startup Archive detailing Jeff Bezos' 1995 seed round. It just reminds you how ugly the beginnings of a trillion-dollar company can really be. He needed $1 million.
And look at the cost of that capital. He sold 20% of the company for that million. That put the valuation at, what, $5 million?
$5 million. Today, it sounds almost ludicrously cheap.
But the fascinating part here is the sheer grind involved. It wasn't easy money.
Not at all. The report says he delivered 60 pitches. 60. And he explicitly warned every single investor, all 22 angels who actually bought in, that there was a 70% failure risk. He went through 40 hard-earned rejections.
Right.
This wasn't some frothy market looking for unicorns. This was pure founder conviction against, overwhelming skepticism.
Which raises a really important question for you, the founder listening right now. Was that dilution necessary? I mean, selling 20% of your company right out of the gate is steep. We always preach optimizing the cap table from day one.
But he had no leverage.
Zero leverage. And a massive execution risk. Survival was the only objective, even if it meant sacrificing a fifth of the company.
But doesn't that massive dilution, in hindsight, completely justify the risk for the investors? Let's talk about that payoff. The $50,000 investment from those angels, based on Amazon's current market cap, those stakes are now worth over $18 billion each.
$18 billion. It defines asymmetric returns.
Exactly. If you're an angel investor, you just need one Amazon to return 360,000 times your money. It covers every loss you've ever taken.
It does. It shows the incredible power of high-risk, high-conviction capital. But that kind of patience, it's a vanishing asset in today's market, which brings us to the experience of PostHog.
Right. Speaking of persistence. There was a great post from @YCombinator highlighting the PostHog journey. Founder James Hawkins got the company to a $1.4 billion unicorn valuation just last year. But it wasn't easy. He had to survive 6 months of what the team called pivot hell until their open source analytics model finally clicked.
Pivot hell. Such a telling phrase, and it speaks directly to the dynamic we were just talking about. In an age of VC saturation, investors demand instant validation.
Right.
6 months of ambiguity, of struggling to find product market fit, that's often enough to get you cut off today. The PostHog story proves that the most successful outliers, they often have to look like persistent failures for a while. The question is, do today's institutional investors really have the stomach to wait 6 months for a PostHog, let alone the years it took for an Amazon to scale? I'd argue no.
And their lack of patience creates opportunities for the few who are patient. That concept of strategic necessity, it takes us straight to the highest stakes battle in tech right now. The cost of producing AI tokens. We're shifting from founder struggle to infrastructure war. @PatrickAshag shared an analysis from investor Gavin Baker, and the prediction is a bombshell for the cloud giants.
Well, what's fascinating here is that Google has, historically relied on its custom hardware, the TPUs, to be the lowest cost producer of inference tokens. That's been their core strategic advantage. It lets them price aggressively and just suck up all the oxygen in the room.
But Baker's thesis is that Nvidia's GB300 racks, using the new Blackwell Ultra GPUs, are set to just completely dismantle Google's cost advantage position by early 2026. This isn't just about faster training. It's about massive improvements in inference per watt efficiency.
And that's where the real money is.
That's where all the money is as these models scale.
So if you connect this to the bigger picture, this forces Google into a massive strategic pivot, a huge one. If their cost advantage is commoditized by Nvidia, they can't just compete on price anymore. They have to compete on model quality, on proprietary distribution, on niche applications. not just pure compute cost. And that pressure is immense.
So what does this mean for the companies building on top of all this? Let's look at e-commerce. Shopify is moving so aggressively to lock down that application layer. CEO at Adobe just launched their Winter 2026 Renaissance Edition.
And the focus here is on a shift toward what they're calling agentic commerce. Shopify is rolling out default agentic storefronts, which enable AI-driven transactions right inside chat interfaces.
So like if you're talking to a chatbot in ChatGPT.
You don't even visit the website anymore. The transaction just happens where the conversation is.
They also launched Sidekick, which generates custom apps from just natural language, meaning merchants can basically build sophisticated extensions just by asking for them. And they have SimGym for simulating shopper behavior. They're automating everything.
This is a power play, but it's disguised as convenience. And here's the critique. If compute commoditizes, Google's R&D budget is challenged. Well, for Shopify, these agentic storefronts, they're a necessary update, but they also risk significant merchant lock-in.
How so?
If Shopify controls the AI funnel that the transactions happen through, they become the inescapable gatekeeper of commerce. That dependency,
Right.
it just guarantees platform loyalty and, higher take rates down the line.
That idea of lock-in and corporate gatekeeping, that is the perfect segue to older software players trying to survive this AI wave. Talking about Adobe. They've been facing intense criticism for years over subscription hikes, their shift away from perpetual licenses.
Oh, the backlash to that was huge.
Huge. And the recent FTC settlements over hidden fees. They have a massive user sentiment problem.
And they are trying to fix it with the ultimate corporate gambit. If you synthesize the news from @AppStorm and @Piston Catalog, we see that ChatGPT users, they're now getting free access to core Adobe tools.
Photoshop, Express, Acrobat.
All of them. For image and PDF editing, just by using AI prompts, they're targeting 800 million potential users.
So if I'm in ChatGPT and I tell it, generate a PDF and crop this image, I get to use Adobe tools for free. Without a subscription.
That's the pitch.
Wow. This is outreach aimed directly at neutralizing all that frustration. They're saying, forget the price hikes. We're integrating with the future.
But you have to ask, is this a genuine offering or is it a Trojan horse?
Right.
It's a massive funnel building exercise. They're hooking 800 million non-subscribers onto the Adobe workflow. Once you use AI to create content in their ecosystem, you're generating files, using their formats, getting used to their UI. How easy is it to manage all that without eventually needing the full, expensive Creative Cloud subscription?
The goal is to make that jump from free AI-prompted edits to necessary subscription completely seamless. Speaking of radically changing workflows, let's jump to hiring. The legendary developer at AD Carmack proposed a genuinely provocative idea about replacing job filters with AI.
He suggests treating a potential employee's multi-year LLM chat history as an extended interview.
Like a living reference.
Essentially, his argument is rational. These chats reveal thinking patterns, problem-solving skills, real competence, far better than a structured interview. He even notes that structured interviews only predict about 20 to 30% of job performance variance.
So the idea is that an AI could conduct an objective, continuous reference check on you based on years of your actual work instead of a manager's subjective summary or a 2-hour panel interview.
And what's fascinating here, but also deeply concerning, is the collision with privacy. While Carmack argues it could democratize talent by proving skill over credentials, the profound risk is allowing employers to analyze years of private thought patterns.
It's a dystopian possibility.
A huge leap of faith to think that data would only be used to gauge skill. I mean, the core idea is that every interaction you have with an AI, it becomes a measurable input for your future employability.
That's a serious ethical overhang. But on a more optimistic note, Ed Iwanglu shared a mind-blowing demo of Gemini 3.
Oh, this was pure, unadulterated creative velocity. The demo showed Gemini 3 generating a no-code interactive web app that instantly converts a simple image into a matrix-style 3D particle scene.
And it's fully customizable in real time. You can interact with it using your mouse or even webcam hand gestures.
No code needed.
None. This just accelerates workflows that used to take days of rendering in specialized 3D software down to seconds. The barrier to entry is just collapsing. But none of this is possible without the physical infrastructure supporting it. The pace of deployment at that layer, especially from SpaceX, is just relentless.
Absolutely. At SpaceX, confirmed the deployment of 27 more Starlink V2 minis. It sounds routine, but the scale is staggering.
It was the 118th Falcon 9 mission of 2025.
Just think about that number.
And that one mission pushed the year's total Starlink deployments to over 3,000 satellites. That's over 1,000 more than they managed in all of 2024. The growth isn't just steady. It's accelerating exponentially.
And that massive bandwidth is crucial for the AI models we were just discussing. And those models require just gargantuan amounts of training data, which leads us directly to the need for synthetic data.
Because real-world data is too expensive or too scarce.
Exactly. So enter Ken Wheeler, founder of Wheeler Defense, who demonstrated how accessible this is becoming. He built a basic 3.js drone simulation flying over Mapbox satellite imagery.
The elegance of it is its practicality.
It is. It pipes that simulated video feed directly to a Python AI vision server, which then detects objects like cars and buildings, outlining them in real time. It's a tool built specifically to cheaply and scalably train computer vision models without ever flying a physical drone.
And the quality of these simulated worlds. It's pushing the limits of what we thought was possible. Which brings us to the endless graphics debate. Ryan at the Bouncer challenged the claim that video game graphics have plateaued.
And Reno's argument relies on a very specific piece of evidence, a recent Unreal Engine 5.6 tech demo for The Witcher 4. The key takeaway is the performance. It showed the character Ciri running on a base PlayStation 5 at a smooth 60 frames per second.
Okay, but lots of games do that.
Right, but with hardware-intensive features like full ray tracing and nanite volumetric foliage enabled.
And what does nanite volumetric foliage actually mean for you listening?
It means ultra-dense, dynamically rendered forests where every single leaf, every branch, every patch of grass is an individually rendered object, not a flat texture.
So it challenges the idea that you can't have photorealism and complexity and high performance all at once.
Even on existing hardware. These three things, Starlink, synthetic data, and UE5 fidelity, they're all interwoven. They're fueling the engine of AI and simulation.
All right, let's pull up from the infrastructure layer and move to the cultural side of the vibe casting, where efficiency meets some genuine ingenuity.
I love this segment. It's engineering thinking applied to the real messy world.
You have to start with the sheer practicality of Alaskan bush flying. @Airmain Engineer shared a video of a Red Piper Super Cub, which is a short takeoff and landing aircraft, just taxiing right past the gas pumps at a Tesoro station in Tulsa Junction.
And that's perfectly legal. The state rules accommodate bush pilots who often need to land on public roads or at gas stations in remote areas to refuel.
It's the ultimate definition of multimodal transport.
Exactly. And that same focus on efficiency, but in a different element, is seen in marine engineering. At J00NY369T, highlighted folding propellers for sailboats.
This is just brilliant, elegant engineering.
It is. When the engine is off and you're under sail, the propeller blades fold back and streamline, which basically eliminates the drag from a fixed prop.
And that can slow a sailboat down by a lot.
10 to 20%. So the folding design lets the boat get 1 to 2 knots of higher hull speed under wind power alone.
But there's always a trade-off, isn't there?
There is. The downside is that those props have significantly weaker reverse thrust, which can make docking in tight spaces a little more complicated.
You trade utility for pure sailing efficiency. And finally, let's touch on a massive and slightly wacky cultural shift. The democratization of projection mapping.
Yes, the viral visuals are everywhere. We saw at Interestingale share a high-tech mapping of melting neon slime onto a grid.
And then the even more popular one from @Americamanib, which was projecting psychedelic patterns onto, of all things, a toilet.
The toilet projection mapping, it's a cultural touchpoint now.
These aren't massive, expensive art installations for stadium shows anymore.
No, thanks to budget projectors and free software, this stuff is shifting firmly into affordable hobbyist use. People are turning the most mundane fixtures into light shows.
And just quickly, a few scientific curiosities. We love the geology porn from @CosmicGuyX, the reveal of the golden rutile geode.
The titanium dioxide needles in clear quartz. Beautiful.
And that simple physics demo from @CoolTechTips, showing how you can create a full rainbow arc with just a log and a hose.
Classic optics. Never fails to impress.
Plus a quick history lesson from @RJNull on 1917, mercury tilt switches, tiny glass tubes that conduct electricity when you tilt them.
Powered old motors, elevators. Reliable for decades, but phased out because of, toxicity. A reminder that efficiency often comes with hidden risks.
What a deep dive. We've traced the immense value of conviction watching $50,000 bets turn into $18 billion fortunes. We analyzed the brutal consequences of the AI cost war. We saw legacy giants like Adobe use free AI tools to overcome user mistrust, while visionaries like Carmack debate if our chat history should become our next job reference.
And the core conflict remains that cost war. Nvidia's relentless efficiency gains are fundamentally stressing the entire budget model of the cloud providers. They're being pushed to the brink of a strategic overhaul.
So based on everything we've seen, the commoditization of compute, the urgency to control the application layer, what is your prediction for tomorrow?
My prediction for you is this. The cost war, driven by Nvidia's Blackwell architecture, will force a massive, visible, strategic pivot from a major cloud provider. And I'm specifically targeting Google or Microsoft here by the end of Q1 2026. This pivot will involve completely conceding the raw hardware price race to Nvidia and instead shifting their public focus entirely to proprietary model quality and high-margin vertical services. They'll try to recoup R&D costs through premium, specialized model access, rather than competing on the commoditized price of tokens.
A shift from pure compute to specialized quality. That signals a massive change in how cloud resources will be deployed and sold to you, the consumer, next year. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the daily Videcasting. We'll catch you next time.